Welcome to Special Stage and welcome to round 6 of the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Series. It is the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally. What a set of stages we have in this new look Woodpecker this season. 8 stages today, and we will be live for 4 of them here on Special Stage. I'm Paul Woodford, and Phil Brammer will be in the Sweet Lamb stages 4 and 8. The spectators near us have all gone very quiet. We have a star guest who doesn't know he's a star guest yet, Will Atkins, who in the junction that we brought you here has got some stories to tell from last year, or at least one story which is worth hearing. We've had a beer and cider delivery to the spectators already this morning, so the atmosphere within about 10 minutes is going to be brilliant, and we'll get some very interesting interviews, I'm sure, down here in the Kerry stage, a stage that quite a lot of our competitors are very excited about doing this year. Not least Steve Pugh, who's in with Nick Dobson, and in 1973, I think it was, he came here to watch the Welsh International, and despite the fact that he's a very well-heeled co-driver and has done the rounds in that time, he's had a hard paper round as Steve. He's never done the Kerry stage, so he was very excited about that. We're delighted you can join us over breakfast. We haven't done a breakfast stint for a while, have we? Les McGufford got us underway, posting under the live stream. It must be a Wetherspoons breakfast, and I'm guessing it's an airport breakfast as well, because they don't serve those normally at this time in the morning, do they, Les? But I hope you're enjoying that and enjoying some live rally coverage as well. We've got the two-wheel drives in reverse seated order today. The Pro Tyre BTRDA Cruise, which is the focus of our live coverage here in these 2 stages today, is joined by the Pirelli Welsh Rally Championship, and that'll be the focus of Phil Bramell's live streams with the second special stage team in the Sweet Lamb stages. And the British Historic Rally Championship also joins our ranks this weekend for the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally. And we will be bringing you live action from 4 stages of all the crews. We've got a fantastic stage here in Kerry, almost half a mile of asphalt in 2 separate sections, and here we have the first of our crews into the stage, and that is something we're going to see a little bit of today. Joel Lewis, Scott Husbands, these 2 doing their very first rally together, so we can forgive them an overshoot, an almost overshoot and a stall on the first hairpin, can't we? It is a deceptively steep downhill section into this hairpin here. There's been a bit of rain in recent days, so it's slippery in places. Some of the chicaned parts of the stage are a little bit boggy, but for the most part it doesn't look like it's been used for some time. Some parts of this stage were used for the British Cross Country Championship recently. A brilliant series. If you haven't caught any of the action from that on Special Stage, go to specialstage.tv. Plenty of sideways there for another man doing his first rally and throwing a bag full of enthusiasm at it as well. Scott Matthews, Ollie Jackson alongside. We haven't seen Ollie out co-driving since he was with Adrian Jackson in his 205 GTI back in 2015, 2016. Nice, interesting entry list lined up for you today as well. Plenty of variety. Avengers, Fiat 131s, Corolla T27s, plenty to talk about. We can get that rally car nerdery going pretty early today for the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Series. If you're just tuning in, I'm Paul Woodford. I'm delighted you can join us for a breakfast stint here for live coverage of the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally. Very misty here, as you can see, but it has lifted a little bit, so by the time we get the 4-wheel drive field through, we're probably going to be quite clear, I would have thought. We were here about an hour and a half ago, and you couldn't see the Pro Tyre banner at that stage. So it has cleared a fair bit since then. It's a fast stage, this one, and it's one that our crews have been looking forward to, and we are guaranteed some action on this nice little hairpin we have for you, this downhill hairpin. Plenty of handbrake action, and possibly the odd overshoot as well. It certainly was a place of high drama on last year's rally. It was used on the Woodpecker stages last year. We have a championship fight on our hands with 2 stages to go here in the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Championship. But there are also championship battles raging in the Welsh and the British Historic Championships as well. So plenty of action and drama for you to follow today. Your results, if you want to follow them live, are at btrda-rallyresults.co.uk. Cars running at 1-minute intervals. We're just waiting for the first car to finish. Chris Woodhouse, Lucy Wilding were through. I don't think it was Lucy in the co-driver's seat actually, but Chris Woodhouse was through in the 207 R2 course car. Fresh from doing course car on Rally Ceredigion last week. We're all a little bit fresh from Rally Ceredigion last week. What a rally that was. Some of our crews as well doing the same thing. One of those cars that I always question when one drives past me where they all went. The Volkswagen Polo Challenge cars. There's Martin Pendlebury, Grace Bell. They've titled it on the entry list a Polo 6N2. Now that is rally car nerdery I can get behind, because 6N2 makes it sound very special. It's basically just a Mark III Polo. That was the factory designation for the Polo. It's their first time on the Woodpecker. So the Cambrian for the last couple of years was fourth in W10 on Rally North Wales to start his Welsh Championship season off, although not registered for points in either series. Jonathan Griffiths and Robert Griffiths in the Corolla just missing from the order in this reverse-seated two-wheel drive field. We were expecting them through in between the 205 of Scott Matthews and that Polo Challenge car, Martin Pendlebury. And there he goes. Dropping back a bit then in this first stage. Station Motors Corolla just coming out of the mist there. We can hear them before we see them. It's one of those days here, although I should be thankful because despite the mist, it was actually meant to be raining here. We seem to have sort of very fine rain at the moment. Without sounding too British about it, it's that fine rain that probably gets you quite wet without you realising. And no, not all rain gets you wet. You know that if you're British. I'm sure it happens in other countries as well. Welcome to live coverage of round 6 of the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Series. I'm Paul Woodford. You're watching Special Stage, and this is the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally. Track Rod Rally Yorkshire. The Cambrian still to go in the BTRDA. It's all to fight for here. That's a great looking rally car, isn't it? Bill Douglas, Dave Turl, the first of the British Historic Rally Championship crews. The Cat 3 Volvo 244. There are two of them on the entry this weekend. They're in fashion at the moment. Did his first event in 1971 on the Dukeries here in the BTRDA in a Triumph 2.5. And there's Chris Giddings, Chris Arnott alongside. They came 8th in class on the Nicky Grist. Exactly the same position that they got on last year's Woodpecker Rally, actually, so know how to go well here. And although we've switched to a Mid-Wales headquarters location for this year's Woodpecker, we still have some of the same stages, this one included here in Kerry. 45 stage miles making up the 6th round of the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Series, the UK's premier gravel rally championship. 8 stages from here. Our crews go to Cumbiga, 6 miles through here, 8.6 through there, and then they're on to the Haffron stage, known as 7-way this weekend. Just over 5.5 miles through there, and then the Team Accelerate Sweet Lamb stage is a short, sharp spectator special blast, just under 2 miles long. And Phil Bramwell will be live with you from there just as we're finishing our live show from this first stage. The special stage Team 2 should be going live in Sweet Lamb, so we will keep you entertained throughout the day. No excuse not to catch some of the action from this year's Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally, especially as we are covering all of the crews through the entry. So keep us on in the background as your acoustic wallpaper. Enjoy some rally cars with your breakfast. There is the sort of action that we are expecting on this hairpin from Freddie Camp, Stephen Spear. Last did the Woodpecker a couple of years ago, 2022. They were 6th in the H1, H2 historic class in that Mark 1 RS 1600. Beautiful looking machine as well, isn't it? Not registered for either championship, Freddie and Stephen. And here is the second of the Volvo 244. I love the way this one looks. And you know what? That's fine. We're okay with that. Darryl Denning, Alex Lewis. They are catching on, aren't they, the 244s? Anyone who drives a rally Volvo will surely have an interesting rally car history. And just like Bill Douglas, who you saw in the first of the 244s, Darryl does indeed. Started in 1978 in a Hillman Imp. Little 875, or a bit of 998 perhaps. Screamer. And he went to a Fiat 128 Sport. That was unreliable, of course it was. He's rallied Volvo 360 and a Punto Sporting since then. Told you. People who rally Volvos always have a fairly discernible rally CV, in terms of cars anyway. Great to see something different, isn't it? And we have seen that 244 before, in fact both of these before, and I do like seeing them out. Producer Wayne has a bit of a thing for Volvos, although we haven't had a Volvo in the special stage fleet for quite some time now. They were the car of choice for many years. I think I've seen every single warning light on the dashboard of a Volvo, sorry Wayne, but it's true, Volvo XC70. And talking of variety, that's the perfect angle for an Avenger, isn't it? Neville Breach, Martin Corbett doing their third rally, the first of our Welsh Rally Championship registered crews on the entry this weekend. Did their first rally on the Rally Nuts this year, followed by the Nicky Grist, and I saw that car parked in the service area at Bilthwells for the Rally Nuts. I was very taken with it. You may remember my posts on Facebook. There's Mark Walker, Daniel James, and I'm obviously always very taken by those, as you know. Did the Woodpecker in 2022, Mark, last time. That was his first season of rallying as well. It was only his second rally. Retired from both the rallies he did that year. But the C2R2 has had a good fettle and has been sorted out since then. I think it's fair to say. Had Robbie Sanford in with him on the the North Road Garage Bilthwells Showground stages this year. But, Robbie's on the Acropolis with M Sports, part of the Motorsport UK Academy this week. Some nice scenes coming out of the Acropolis as well. It's one of those iconic events, isn't it? You look forward to seeing the initial photos to see how the event will look every year. Get some of your comments on the live coverage shortly. Don't forget, if you are commenting on the coverage today, that is one heck of an overshoot. It's for Rob Evatt, Michael Evatt alongside. First event since the Roger Albert Clark in the Marina in 2023. What an event that was. Registered for the BTRDA, but of course no scores on the board so far, but the first of our crew showing us the way to overshoot this hairpin. The mist, as I mentioned earlier, just starting to clear here. Hopefully you're getting a good view of the cars coming into shot now, which to begin with you probably weren't. Busy run of rallies and plenty of live coverage for you. We had Rally Kerry dig in last week. You can catch up with all the coverage from that and the highlights as well on the Special Stage Rally Show at specialstage.tv. Of course, Woodpecker live this weekend, and it's the Hills Ford stages, the final round and the dramatic championship showdown in the Pro Tyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship next weekend. And it goes on from there. More on that in a moment, because there's Giles Armitage and Josh Rhodes, the first of our Rally First crews. They come here, fourth in the overall Bronze Star Championship standings, leading Rally First. They were OTL on last year's Woodpecker though, so they'll be, of course, aiming to make sure that doesn't happen again. They did win Rally First last time out in that little 205 GTI, and they also won it on the Malcolm Wilson Rally as well to start the year, so a good season so far, leaving them in a very strong position as far as the championship is concerned, with 2 rounds still to go. So after the Hills Ford stages next weekend, we've got the historic Rally Festival on the 5th and 6th of October. We've got the track rod in between that as well, Rally Yorkshire in September. So whatever you're doing in the next few weeks, you can tune in to live rally. That is guaranteed. There's John Day, Corey Powell, Jones in the Cooper S in their second season of rallying. First time that they've done the Woodpecker though. The Mini Cooper S becoming a formidable rally car. We're seeing them quite ubiquitous at the moment, aren't they? It's a good word for a Saturday morning. Featuring as the lead class in the Mini Rally Challenge, the sponsors of our special stage rally show this year. Highlights from their last round on the last rally show at specialstage.tv or on the social media page. That was a close one, wasn't it? Simon Millington and Sam Gelter. They're basically just having a big skid, aren't they? Simon Millington registered for World Championship. Sam Kelter in the co-driver seat, registered for BTRDA points, comes here 23rd in the Silver Star co-driver standings, and equal third in the B11 co-driver standings, equal with Noel Murphy, Robin Kellard, Tom Brimblecombe, Gemma Webster, quite tight in the co-drivers standings. That sound you can hear is the thumping sound of a British V8. And for those of you saying it started as a Buick engine, it did. But British Leyland did an awful lot to it before he got stuck in the front of one of those glorious machines. There's Graham Thatcher, Tim Samuel. Another car that if somebody turns up on a rally stage in, you always check their rally car history. And Graham first rallied a Hillman Avenger GT in 2010. You were expecting me to say 1978, weren't you? Retired from every single event that year. And ironically, as chance would have it, first off of the weekend, and it's a spectator. In case you heard that. The second ever rally that Graham did was the Woodpecker, and he retired from it. But that has turned out to be a pretty reliable TR7 V8 and looks ridiculously good in the Roger Clark Sparkrite livery, doesn't it? The livery of the car, which is the inspiration and the technical, what's the word? Start point for the David Appleby engineering cars that are being built at the moment, one of which you will see shortly. Currently fighting for the British Historic Rally Championship in the hands of Mark Higgins and Carl Williamson. Jeremy Wells, Martin Saunders then, the first of our Pro Tyre BTRDA Historic Challengers. They come here, 8th in the Historic Cup, just inside the top 20 on the Silver Star standings at the moment. Jeremy was 3rd in the Historic Cup on last year's Woodpecker as well, 8th in the Silver Star, so not a stranger to a strong result here on these stages, albeit they've changed around a little bit to allow for the switch to the Mid-Wales base for this year's Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally. There's Paul Holmes, Elizabeth Beasley Fresh from their 8th in the H1 class on Rally Ceredigion last weekend. They had a ball as well, as did a number of the competitors. 184 kilometres on very twisty, challenging, but beautiful, at least from our point of view, stages through the Aberystwyth part of West Wales, including that seafront stage in Aberystwyth. Quite the spectacle. So a number of our crews with just a week to turn the cars and themselves around. Plenty of prep to do with the pace notes, of course, and the cars. Switching from asphalt to the gravel. And what gravel we have here in Kerry. This is the first stage of the day. First of 8. 6.1 miles of the 45-hour cruise we'll do in total today on the stages if they get that far, of course. There's Will Armitage, Jeremy Pole, the second of the 2 Peugeots in that team, coming here, leading the B11 class from a top 10 position of 9th in the Silver Star Championship leaderboard. Smelling of brakes as well. He's been on those brakes through this stage as well. Very strong position in the Gold Star as well. remarkably in that 306 S16, 18th on the Gold Star. Not that that's where the focus will be, but it's always interesting when one of our Silver Star two-wheel drive crews breaks into the Gold Star. Number of giant-killing performances this year. We'll come to them actually on this entry, who are showing very highly. Michael Jenkins, I'll mention him now, but we'll see from him shortly. Currently 9th in the Gold Star in the Fiesta R2. A podium on the championship leaderboard in the Silver Star and leading B10. A cracking season for the Tutzklump Proper Cider car. We'll see from him, and Jordan joins co-driver in just a few minutes' time. Cars running at 1 minute intervals. Will Armitage, who you just saw, actually retired on last year's Woodpecker Rally, so we'll be looking to make sure that doesn't happen again, of course. That car, interestingly, did the Network Q Rally of Great Britain in 1998 and the year 2000. Bit of provenance under that 306. Peter Jones, Gareth Davies, a couple of the Welsh Championship competitors. Last time out on the Woodpecker, 2018, when they retired with a gearbox failure. Really, what they should have done was use the TR7 that we saw them in on the Mueller. It was an eventful rally as well, wasn't it, for many? Felt for the crews who were fighting for BTRDA gravel and Pro Tyre asphalt points, who ended up coming a cropper on what should have been pressure-free, bit of testing in the middle. What a car that is. Ian Beveridge, Paul Price, one of the British Historic Rally Championship crews in the Corolla TE27. The car made famous, not that one, but the TE27 Corolla was made famous by Bjorn Voldegaard, Hannu Mikkola, among others. Mikkola won the 1,000 Lakes in 1975 in a TE27 Corolla. Just imagine that. What days they were. I got asked, actually, the other day. We keep talking about the golden age of rallying and talking about that quite a bit with a very special event that I'm hosting at the Motorist near York on the 12th of October, where we have 4 of the Motoring News Championship competitors on a panel with myself and Jonathan Pullin, who will be co-hosting with me, as well as doing a pre-launch for his new book, which we'll talk about in a bit. But someone asked, will people ever talk about these days of rallying as the golden age? Well, yeah, probably. There's a lot to love at the minute, and we always look back with rose-tinted spectacles, don't we? But you look at the, the early 2000s, and we all wistfully talk about the WRC car era. It wasn't that long ago. It's definitely a golden age, as far as I'm concerned. Listen to that. How could you say this wouldn't be a golden age of rallying? Looking back in the archives at 2024 and seeing cars like that kit car, Screamer 1400 Micra of Gethin Price and Stephen Brown. They've had a bit of a quiet year, actually. Did Rally North Wales. They were first in class there, weren't they? I think they've done the Grooms Garage Sweet Lamb time trial as well. Had a decent position there. But Stephen Brown is pretty busy in his solo career anyway, fresh from Rally Ceredigion alongside Rob Proudlock in the Internationals, and doing Mull alongside Lewis Hooper as well. You'll see from him very shortly. Dave Peters with BTRDA registered co-driver Andrew Richards alongside, who, again, very tight in a number of the classes in the co-driver points coming into this 6th round. In the Historic Cup, he's actually equal with Arwell Jenkins, only 1 point off Patricia Lee in 4th and 2 off Ian Jones in 3rd. So Andrew hoping that Dave, although not registered for points himself, can drive him to a decent haul of points on these 8 Mid-Wales stages for the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally today. Welcome to Special Stage if you're just tuning in. We hope you're enjoying your breakfast and a side helping of rally cars. I'm Paul Woodford, and on the camera, Wayne Goldring, our producer here in Kerry. And then we have Phil Bramall with the second Special Stage team waiting to go live for you so that you don't have to have a break, an interruption in your live rally coverage. Today in Sweet Lamb, you'll have Jamie Ganley and I believe Luke Leonard down there with him on cameras. So plenty of live action for you today. We are missing a car which I was looking forward to seeing through, and a a pair that I did want to talk about. If we don't see it shortly, the Nova of Richard and Julia Perry. I will tell the story anyway. But really disappointing if they don't make it this far. Stuart Spire, who this year not registered for points, but again, co-driver Pete is 4th to 9th in the Bronze Star co-drivers leaderboard at the moment. It's separated by just 8 points. Misfire on that Corsa will not be filling Pete with too much hope that he can claw his way up that leaderboard at this stage, but it's early doors and a misfire is sometimes an easy problem to sort, not always. Very polite mark on escort there, indicating. I think that was the indicating that he was going to just do a Scandi into this hairpin, wasn't it? I'm going to indicate right, but I'm turning left. Like it, Bradley. Bradley Carroll, Lee Clark. In their first season of rallying, there's all single venues as well before now. Won the class at the Anglesey SMC stages, but here they are on the gravel of the Woodpecker rally, which is steeped in history, tradition and legendary rally stories here in British and in Welsh rallying. Again, we've got plenty of those stories for you, hinged around various names, faces and cars on the entry list today. So we'll talk rallying for much of today, which of course is my most favourite thing to do, and I know for many of you it's the same. So do get involved. We will get some of your comments in a bit. At the moment, you're watching the reverse seeded two-wheel drive entry here on the Woodpecker. As you see, Charles Hopkinson and Alan Jones, the 2021 Welsh Historic Champion, taking a nice neat line through this downhill, quite slippery at this point, hairpin coming out of the mist in that Mark II RS 1800 Escort. So Richard and Julia Perry then, we were expecting to see them through. I know Julia posted on Facebook to show that they were about to start the rally in their little white and red Nova. Should be gutted if they haven't got this far. Second rally this year for Richard. But here's the thing. Julia grew up watching her dad competing on the Woodpecker, and he's watched her for the last 2 years, but this is their first time doing the rally together. He hasn't done pace notes for a while, so she said it could have been interesting. And perhaps the reason we've not seen them yet is that it has been interesting, who knows. But lovely story. And I will be bitterly disappointed for them if they haven't made it this far. As you see, Barry Hughes and Stuart Borden just feathering the throttle, just keeping the Escort off the outside of the hairpin there. There is a bit of a drop to the next bit of the stage. They sit just outside the top 10 leaderboard in the BTRDA Historic Cup coming into this round, 12th place to be exact. And not a very strong standing at the moment championship-wise on the Silver Star, 28th. So they need some points here at round 6. They only started rallying in 2022. They came 3rd in class on the Whiting for their first ever rally. Wow. This is only Barry's 6th rally. He hasn't been out of the class top 6 so far. That's a stat that you want to hang your hat on, isn't it? And a few other things besides. Give a bit of an update on the track of Richard and Julia. Have made it to the start of this first stage in Kerry, but they haven't yet come into the stage. Whether there's a problem they're trying to sort at the stage start, I'm not sure, but we'd dearly like to see them through. There's Lynn Davies, Alan Richards, in the beautiful Jones Sport Prepared Escort, boss of 57 tyres and a sponsor of the Welsh Rally Championship. And he loves his rallying, and he's throwing his weight behind it in all manner of ways this season. Clearly enjoying himself through this first 6.1 mile blast through Kerry. .45, just a few metres short of 45 stage miles on today's Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker stages, so plenty of action, and we'll have, as I mentioned earlier, if you were tuned in, 4 of those stages live for you, 2 from the Pro Tyre BTRDA and 2 from the Welsh Championship with Phil Bramall. From here, our crews go to Marsden Forest for the Cumbega stage. That's an 8.6 mile stage, longest of the day. From there it's to Haffron for the 7-way stage, 5.6 miles, and then it's a short blast of just under 2 miles through Sweetland to the 4 stage in the loop, and they do that layout both morning and afternoon to make up that mileage. There is the man I mentioned earlier, Michael Jenkins. Jordan joins alongside, leading the B10 class, 3rd in the Silver Star, 9th in the Gold Star. Woodpecker hasn't been kind, though, to them so far. They've retired on the 2 last events in that Tuts Clump proper cider-sponsored Fiesta. They just have to finish here to both be crowned B10 champions, but Jordan says that they're going to go full send for the Silver Star. That's what we like to hear, lads. Funny conversation with Michael, actually. He's a good lad. He said, not bad, is it, for a pretend rally driver? Talking about the difference between him and Lewis Hooper. He said, look, I'm playing at it. Lewis Hooper is the real deal. I've just been lucky. Self-deprecating enough to allow us to enjoy his performance, I think you could say. There's Tom Naylor, Tom Bishop, 2021 Rally first champion, tried circuit rallying last season. Back on the gravel, but just this and the Rally Nuts 7 Valley stages so far on his 2024 campaign CV. Don't forget, if you are getting involved on our live show, commenting on the stream on either Facebook or YouTube or on specialstage.tv, you are automatically entered into the prize draw to win one of the Rally is Live Rally TV t-shirts. There is what we were talking about earlier. It's a very deceptive downhill into this hairpin, and there's no tape on the escape road, probably because the marshals know they'll be putting it back up every 2 minutes. Ben Stockdale, Josh Carr. The wheels literally came off their last rally on the Scottish. Well, one did anyway, and the wheels nearly came off there as well. They would have done if they'd gone much further, because there's a radio car parked just down out of sight on that overshoot. Wayne Goldring is shaking his head at himself because he's not got quite enough coverage down the overshoot, have you, Wayne? It's not quite the long shot you were expecting, is it? Crew's going down and spinning their car around just further down in the overshoot, but it is something we expected to happen. We should, by now, have some of the results through. Results.bcrda rallyresults.co.uk is where you need to be to get yours. There's Martin Waters, Marie Fletcher, 2023 class champion in the W10 class in the Welsh Championship in that little Civic EK4. So the time's starting to drop in now. The Fuchs Lubricants Bronze Star times at the moment. Giles Armitage, Josh Rhodes. Don't forget, they've won the Rally First class twice this season so far, and they're leading it here as well at the moment. On an identical time, though, to Rob and Michael Evatt, who we saw through here overshooting in their Nova. Really much more to talk about on the times just yet, but we will update you as soon as those times start dropping through. We'll start to get a feel for where those class battles will be today. The rain just starting to come down, very light, but definitely here. Peter Hinton, Lewis Sim, retired on last year's Woodpecker stages. Lewis was the 2-wheel drive winner alongside Hugh at the Hugh James. Hugh's surname escaped me there. That was terrible, wasn't it? It was only a week since as well, and I was also having some banter with Hugh this week. Lewis won the 2-wheel drives on Rally Kerry last time out. So switching from asphalt to gravel here in the RS 2000 in that Welsh Championship registered Mark II. Michael Jenkins has put an equal third place time in at the moment in the Gold Star times that we've got in. 8 minutes 43, equal to Simon Millington and Sam Kelter. That'll be crucial, that battle for Sam Kelter's co-driver points. Jordan Joins, if they finish, will be the B10 co-driver champion alongside Michael, drivers champion today. They are 21 seconds at the moment off the fastest Gold Star time that we have through at the moment, which is Will Armitage and Jeremy Pole in the Peugeot 306 that we were talking about. There's David Jones and Glenn Price in their E30 BMW. They started their rallying in the Lada Challenge in 1983. Remember the Lada of Shane McGeer and Denver Rafferty on the Kielder Forest Rally this year? Yeah, that was some machine, wasn't it? Won the two-wheel drives and won a few hearts and minds in British rallying as well, didn't it? Very different type of Lada to the Reavers that we saw in the Lada Rally Challenge back in the day, though. I remember watching those at Melbourne Airfield, a venue that hosts its final rally ever this weekend. Absolutely gutted. Haven't been there much in the last few years, or if at all, actually. But a local event to me, and a venue that we all either cut our teeth on or went to spectate on as youngsters. The landowner will be developing the farm buildings there, meaning that the venue can no longer be used for rallying. Good luck to everybody doing the rally there today, but very disappointing. Another venue, historic single venue as well, lost. Hugo McMillan, Arthur McMillan doing their first rally this season, also their first visit to the Woodpecker stages as well in that Mark 1 RS 1600 Escort. Yeah, it's always sad when we lose a venue, and that one, being local to me, hurts a little bit more. But at the same time, looking on the brighter side, we are gaining venues as well. And I know from talking to Jonathan Jackson, who's actually driving the safety delegate, his dad around this weekend here, who's the rallies manager at Motorsport UK. A lot of work is going into securing and negotiating new venues. There's Greg Mills and Andrew Sankey came back to the sport. Burst back onto the scene in 2021 for the Roger Albert Clark. Before that, we last saw him in 2001 in a Sierra Cosworth, Greg. And another man who is going back to the conversation about new venues, another man who's working extremely hard on developing new venues and new places to go rallying is Warner Lewis. Warner and his team at the Rallying History Group, who run the Historic Rally Festival, that you'll be able to see some live coverage from in a few weeks' time on the 5th and 6th of October, based in the Telford area and covering stages on 2 stately home venues in the region, moving from its traditional base of Weston Park. It's got a fantastic lineup of stages, and they're all new, and they're all, well, a lot of them are closed road, and Warner has got a fantastic relationship with the local authorities. They've managed to get the road closure orders free. I hope I'm not giving too much information away, Warner, but just a tribute to the work that's gone in, but the way you've managed to pull off some of these stages, because I've seen some of them and they're absolutely wicked. Given that it's a demonstration event for a whole raft of very expensive and exquisite historic rally cars, Group B, Group A, the lot that we don't see very often, it is great to see the work gone in to secure some new venues there. Perhaps we'll see competitive action on them in the next few years as well, because they are investing in those venues. Terry Crete, Richard Shaw's in the BHRC registered BMW 2002 Ti. They were Category 1 BHRC champ in 2023. And that is one of the best looking cars on the entry, isn't it? It's fat rear arches and the front flared arches to match. Steve Chaplin, Rich Suter there. Currently 9th place in the historic Cup standings, 17th on the Silver Star leaderboard coming into this 6th round of the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Series. They've got an interesting rally history as well. Did one rally in 1984 in a Mark III in Holland. then came out in 2019 in a TR7 V8, switched to the Mark II in 2023. I think that would have been a Mark II in 1984, despite what it says here. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Here we go then, the first of our Fuchs Lubricants Bronze Star competitors. And the revs are up, the wheels are spinning, and luckily the drive shafts are still intact. 6th place in the Bronze Star leaderboard coming into this round. 5th in 1400S, looking to get some points on the board. And someone who will be pushing that Corsa very, very hard today, I guarantee you, is Chris Bush. Rob Chicken Bryn Jones alongside. I'm still not sure why he's called Rob Chicken. Actually, they retired on the Severn Valley Rally Nuts stages and also on the Nicky Grist as well this season. But 3rd place, Bronze Star on the Border Counties, and Kielder Forest Rally keeps them in the hunt. Coming into this 6th round, they've got to make it count. From here, though, there's a man who has had an eventful 24 hours, shall we say. Happy birthday, Ed James. 50 today. I know you were delighted that somebody told me that. Charlie Mason alongside. Blew its head gasket, that little micro kit car, the Rally Nuts car, on Thursday lunchtime. That's what those, the benefit of doing those little road miles are before a rally. You find out these issues with just enough time to get things sorted. So they were busy getting the car fixed, getting the engine sorted out, and it was on the rolling road yesterday. And apparently Ed was enjoying a birthday night dinner, boring everyone to death about micro kit car, brake horsepower and torque figures from the rolling road session he'd just had, having got the car fixed, ready to come out here for the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally. Fair play, Ed. Please have you back in the BTR there. Please got the car fixed. Be back out here. Charlie Tuttle, Ben Wild, a pair we've spoken a lot about so far this season. They won their class on Rally Ceredigion in that little MG ZR. This being Charlie's first year of rallying, and he's certainly racked the mileage up. Asphalt, gravel, anything and everything in between. He's going to be a more experienced rally driver at the end of this season than his years competing on his CV would have you realise. And he's done an excellent job as well. Coming from the Tuttle Rally dynasty, you would expect him to have a certain talent about him, but it's never guaranteed. Interesting to see those times drop through in a little while. We should see up next, it looks like Richard and Julia Perry have retired, by the way, and have not made it into this first stage. There'll be a did not start for this round. Should see Luke Watts, Matt Rogers, and we do. They need some points on the board now. Luke coming out in that new car at Kielder for the first time. They are at the moment 10th in the Bronze Star standings, 7th in 1400S. The best result for them on a Woodpecker was last year, which was 7th in the Bronze Star. That was in a 1400C car. So let's see what he can do with this new 1400S MGs that are 140 or so horsepower under that screamer of an MG. Nicely prepared car as well. Once he's up to speed in it, it should go well. Chris Bush, indeed, we would expect, given the cars that have gone through so far, wouldn't we? The Rally First and 1400C car does post the fastest time so far in the 1400s, a 7:47. Did you see a man wishing to do just that? Joe Everett, Richard Wise alongside. Richard disappointed not to be out campaigning in his British Historic Rally Championship car, but out alongside Joe Everett instead. The 2013 Rally First champion making a return to the series. He came 3rd in 1400S last year on Nicky Grist and the track rod. Richard always has wine gums at the end of the stage, so unless he flings them at us as he drives past, we're not getting our wine gums this weekend, but he did promise he'd have them with him. Just one of those little quirks that you get in this sport. Great to see Joe back out, and as you can see there as well, in very fighty mood today here in Mid Wales for this new look Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally. This is the first stage of the day. If you're just tuning in, it's a 6.1 mile blast through Kerry. It is an interesting stage as well. It's fast, it's green in places, 2 sections of asphalt, about half a mile or so in total. There's Ben Cree, Bob Wiggins, equal second in the B10 class as well, behind Michael Jenkins. Jordan Joins, who looked to sew that class title up today. 26th on the Silver Star leaderboard though, so looking for some points. Only joined us at the Nicky Grist stages, Ben. Equal on points with Lucy Wigley, and that is where the fight will be as we go into the final 2 rounds of the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Series. But as I say, no chance of catching the category leaders, or the class leaders I should say, Michael Jenkins and Jordan Joins. Raining ever so slightly here, probably not enough to create a big upset as far as the stage conditions are concerned, but it is getting a little wetter, and the mist still hanging about, isn't it? It's warm though, which would explain that. Hardly a phenomenon. Right, Ed James, Charlie Mason. Turns out those brake horsepower figures he was quoting over his birthday dinner last night, fresh into his 50th year of life. It's very dramatic, wasn't it? Have fared him well. 9 seconds behind Chris Bush and Rob Bryn Jones in the Corsa in 1400 S and in the bronze start. And there we go. Delighted that they've made it. Richard and Julia Perry clearly had a problem with the car on the start line, but there they go. In that little Nova that Julia has only competed on once, I think, with her dad before. She's watched him compete here on the Woodpecker, and he's watched her in the last couple of years, and they're finally, after all that time, doing a rally together, which is lovely, isn't it? Fab little story to come out of this weekend's Woodpecker. Wow, that was hot into there. I told you it's a fast stage this, and it's deceptive as well in the mist. Just catching some of the scenery and taking a souvenir from Kerry with him there. Howell Davies, Alan Pennant perhaps just struggling to adjust back to the loose stuff, having won the historic Rally Car Register Rally Masters class on Rally Ceredigion last weekend. 7th H1 as well in the National Rally. One of the crews switching from asphalt to gravel for this weekend's 6th round of the Pro Tyre BTRD8 Rally Series, and a man who will, as I say, be taking a souvenir from this first stage of the day. BTRD8rallyresults.co.uk is where you need to be if you want to follow the leaderboards live yourself. Barry Hughes, Stuart Borden currently leading the way in the Silver Star crews that have posted a time. Michael Jenkins, Jordan Joins, the pair who will be crowned B10 class champions, barring natural disaster or something else unexpected at the end of today. Currently in 4th there. Time through there, that is what you want to do. Gary Smith, Clive Jones. They were still flat, weren't they? Through that overshoot. Managing to scoop it back up and remarkably not probably lose that much time. Ironically, probably got the car turned around quicker in the overshoot than they would have done if they sent it into the hairpin here, into the downhill. It's a downhill left-hander, kind of doubles back on itself. Downhill hairpin left, 150 yards, and then not even that, and then a hairpin right at the bottom of the hill. Double back. They were looped right around the back of us, and they finished just on the left of us, above the gorge here. As you see, Harvey Price and John Scott feathering the throttle on that 2.1 litre Mark II, the B12 car. They only did the Woodpecker last season, came 4th in class as well, 2nd in class on the Woodpecker in 2015, 1st in 2014, so you get the idea. They know how to string together a stage time or two on these stages, albeit the stages here this weekend slightly different to what we've seen previously. Joe Evatt then, as we discussed, going very well in the Fuchs Lubricants Bronze Star on his return to the series. Richard Wise alongside in the MG said, oh, the 2013 Rally First champion from the equal time of 7:47 with Chris Bush, Rob Bryn Jones. Stall there for David Dobson, Brian Hodgson. The BHRC D3 class champion, reigning, and the H2 class winner in the BTRDA 10 years ago, in 2014. Was it really 10 years ago that we had all those jokes about David having an unarched Mark II Escort when he won the H2 class here in the BTRDA? That is. It's remarkable how time flies, particularly when you follow rallying. You find yourself stood at the side of the same stages, year in, year out, telling very different stories at times. And before you know it, you've told 10 of them, 15 of them. And we are indeed here at Special Stage into our 15th year of doing this, telling the stories of these fabulous rallies here in the UK, shining a spotlight on particularly club rallying and also national and at times international rallying over those years. What an adventure we've been on, what an adventure Dan Chester and Paul Barber are going on right now. Again, another crew into the overshoot. I bet the radio marshal's moved his car out, by the way, down there, because it was in the firing line when I looked earlier. Dan did a 45-mile test in Sweet Lamb on Wednesday. It looked very different from this, didn't it? Getting all confused at the hairpin here. Making a real mess of that one, I think it's fair to say. Porsche knows a way around. He did a test first with Dan at Sweet Lamb, and then after that jumped in the R5 with Richard Gein, and then with the former Roger Albert Clark rally winner Stefan Stoof. He said his head was spinning. Looks like it might still be after that overshoot and then heading the wrong way. Good job the spectators and producer Wayne as well, flailing his arms around there, were there to warn them. Interesting. Sometimes we say that word and we don't mean it in the very best of ways. Andrew Fox, Jamie Lee Fox there. They were 4th B12 car on last year's Woodpecker. Bit of a mixed year for them this season. They've won their class on the Rally Nuts but retired on Rally North Wales in the Welsh Championship, and also last time out in the Nicky Grist as well. We're looking for a finish and some points towards their Welsh Championship campaign, no doubt, here at the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally. Some fast drivers coming up next as well. There's James Grattan-Smith, Tom Jordan alongside. Second place in the B12 standings coming into this round, just outside the top 10 leaderboard in the Silver Star. James has done the Woodpecker more as a co-driver than a driver. I think this is his first time. In fact, it is his first time doing the Woodpecker Rally as a driver. But in theory, he should know his way around pretty well, shouldn't he? He says. In the Bronze Star then, so far, the most complete of our leaderboards currently on the live times. Joe Everett, Richard Wise on an identical overall time to Chris Bush. Rob Bryn Jones out in front, 9 seconds ahead of James and Charlie Mason in the Michael Kit car. Charles Armitage leads Rally First. And there's Steve Corky Ward. Phil Sandham alongside, another man swapping asphalt for gravel from Rally Kira Digion to Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally. They lead the Historic Cup, they lead the Silver Star, and they are 6th in the Gold Star standings in a historic car. Just let that sink in. Coming into this 6th round of the series in the RS 1800. Cracking rally car history for Steve as well. A Mini, Mark 1 Cortina, Datsun Violet, Datsun Sunny, Opel Stoner, done the Lombard RAC Rally 3 times. And I'll tell you what, he leads the Silver Star through the perfect balance of speed consistency and solid reliability. No outright wins for that pair yet, but they are one of the most impressive crews on the Pro-Tyre BTRDA roster this season. That historic car doing all sorts of things that a historic car on paper at least ought not to do. There's Neil James, Siobhan Pugh, another pair who retired on last year's Woodpecker. Neil, another one of those who's in the My First Rally Was on Epint club. Oh, a lot of respect for anyone who does the first rally on Epint. It was the Merlin Fireplaces Rally in an Escort in 1984 when he was 5th in class. That is not a soundbite to be sniffed at, is it? Doing your first rally on Epint and coming 5th in class. In that era as well. That era. We talk about that era a lot. 70s, 80s rallying. Particularly club rallying. When the internationals would join ranks and there was none of this bizarre confusion we have between different rallies, different leaderboards, different entry lists that we have these days. Heady days they must have been. I caught the tail end of them. I wasn't really old enough to appreciate it. But we are seeing a bit of a renaissance on this rally at the moment. With Hughes and Davies. Fresh from their outing on Kerry, the back left tyre looked like it was going down, didn't it? Talking of Rally Kerry, we saw Chris Richmond hands KP60 Starlet, which was the freshly built car that he'd rallied with his dad back in 2006 with Izzy Holman alongside, who you'll see from later on the entry here in the four-wheel drive category of today's rally. But where I'm going with that is that Wyn Hughes, who you just saw through in the Castrol liveried Escort, rallied a KP60 Starlet in the late 90s, early 2000s. We need more of those out in English rallying. They're such a good-looking car. Plenty of them over in Ireland. But they just go so well when they're driven properly as well. I like one last weekend. So entertaining. Talking of entertaining drivers, there's Jeff Phelps, Colin Jenkins alongside. They won the B11 and they came 8th on the Silver Star on the Nicky Grist stages last time out. 4th B11 on last year's Woodpecker, so expect a strong showing from them today. They come here 3rd place in the B11 class standings. 24th on the Silver Star standings, albeit that's not where I'm sure their focus will be. I'm just going to have a look at those leaderboards again. Don't forget, the leaderboards we're talking about here today are the BTRDA, Pro-Tyre BTRDA leaderboards. If you want to follow the Welsh Rally Championship coverage, Phil Bramall will be following our live show in Sweetland. Yeah, the first of 2 live stages from the Welsh Championship, covering the BTRDA and the British Historics through there as well, like we are. Nice! Ashley Francis Adams and Mark Ammons, and nicely done as well. Just very sensible and intelligent throttle use on the way out to get the power down as much as they can downhill. Making the most of that little downhill section in the 1400 S Micra. 2nd in the Bronze Star after 3 second places in the overall Bronze Star leaderboard so far this season. Nicky Grist, Kielder, Rally Nuts, they were 3rd Bronze Star on last year's Woodpecker. Another crew you need to keep an eye on today. Ashley Francis Adams and Mark Ammons. 2nd in both the Bronze Star and 1400S behind the hard charging Nova that you will see soon. The NJ Autos Nova from Nigel and Kenneth Jenkins. The car I shared a picture of on the field of this rally because it always makes me smile. I know it does you as well. Dylan Fowler Bishop, Dan Evans, 2nd in 1400C, just inside the top 10 leaderboard on the Fuchs Lubricants Bronze Star coming into this 6th round. They won the Bronze Star at Kielder. We're getting back to a place where there are multiple different winners in the Bronze Star and there are multiple challengers all pushing really hard, and the pace is getting up there again, which is a really good place to be. I shared some photos from about 8-9 years ago on the Woodpecker with people like Julian Wilkes, Justin Lawson, remember those? Dave Brick, and of course Nigel Jenkins. There was a real era for the 1400s that just made it one of the most entertaining classes in British rallying, and I do hope we're getting back there. There are all the signs of it. Dylan, who you just saw, has also had 2 third places in Bronze Star so far this season. So like you say, ones to watch. Ben Cree, Bob Wiggins in the Corsa then, leading the way in the Silver Star so far. 4 seconds ahead of Steve Ward. There's Sam Mason, James Seymour, 4th in the junior driver category coming into this round, 2nd in the R2 Rally Cup. They've got some ground to make up there as well to Lewis Hooper, and whatever happens today, they won't be changing that leaderboard position for the better. Not mathematically possible, but make up ground, I'm sure they will. They are 8th place in the Silver Star as well, not bad for a junior driver. And again, to have 2 R2s, 3 R2s in the Silver Star top 10. We've had lots of varied podiums in the Silver Star this season so far. Was it Kielder? A real highlight for me when you had Steve Ward, Ben Jemison who won it, and Lewis Hooper as well. 3 very different cars. Drivers as well. That was about the best we've seen. Talking of R2s, wasn't it? From Alfie Hammond and Harry Walshaw. What a line that was into that hairpin. It was actually perfect. Made us all smile, didn't it, that one? 7th junior driver, started the season at the Malcolm Wilson in the 1400s as Alfie, so he appears in both leaderboards, albeit he won't be adding any more points to his 1400 campaign, I wouldn't have thought from here. Harry Walshaw, one of the Motorsport UK Academy co-drivers, one of my local co-drivers, being mentored, just been announced by seasoned co-driver Rob Fagg for the rest of the season. A very safe pair of hands to put your career in at such a influential and crucial stage. Well done to Harry, and well done as well to Rob. He's currently 2nd place, or fighting for 2nd place in the Pro Tyre Asphalt Rally Championship. Really needs a fast ride for the following round next week at the Hills Ford, if anyone's got one going. Anyone's got a World Rally car or an R5 or a Rally 2 sat in a garage, and capable of a strong result to get Rob some points, he'd quite appreciate that. There's Matthew Stroud, Callum Atkinson alongside. Matthew's first season of rallying, and it has been character building. Retirements on the last 3 rallies. But he's not easing off, is he? He's not creeping through this stage as a result. Keeping a lit into this hairpin here in Kerry, the first stage of the day. Barry Hughes, Stuart Borden, still that 8:07, a fast time from them in the Silver Star at the moment. 2nd of the historic cruise so far behind Steve Ward, just up ahead, 11 seconds behind in fact. James Grattan-Smith, Tom Jordan dropping in behind them in the Silver Star. In the B12 MG ZR, 7 seconds behind, 18 off the lead. There's another man who's had a very dramatic build-up to this rally, as he usually does. Steve Maxson, Steve Bilby alongside in the rear-wheel drive Astra. The crankshaft was bent during a recent engine rebuild. It snapped clean in half. And then on the way to the rolling road, having got it all sorted out, the transit van broke down, towing the car. So hopefully a bird did a massive poop on the windscreen on the way here, just to make it 3 bits of bad luck, and the 3rd doesn't come on the rally. That's what we're all hoping anyway. Maybe he can enjoy a clean run, which he has done, to be fair, recently in that Astra after a pretty tumultuous couple of years. Another man with a great rally car CV as well. You'll remember the Mercedes 190 he was in most recently, but also has a Sunbeam and a Skoda and a Chevette on that list, and has been campaigning that rear-wheel drive Astra for 24 years since we saw it on the track rod in the year 2000. Another fast historic car here in the BTRDA, not registered for points. Sean Ball is registered for historic points today, but Callum Young, the co-driver, very definitely is. He's the 4th junior co-driver on the standings at the moment, 10th in the Historic Cup. And he's only 2 points off Rob Wiggins, who's in 3rd in that junior co-driver award leaderboard at the moment. So those points crucial today for Callum Young in the co-driver seat of that Rothmans Rally Car Hire Mark II Escort. Another Rothmans Escort we're looking forward to seeing very soon, and it is a Vatanen car. Richard Goff on the way very shortly. A man who I always look forward to seeing on the stage and who you'll be able to see in a very special feature we filmed earlier this year on a special stage. Probably towards the back end of the year, once we edit a few of those features together to fill in some quiet spots in the sport, no doubt. There is your emphatic leading pair here in the Fuchs Lubricants Bronze Star Series. Leading the Bronze Star, leading the 1400S class. Has been scoring top 10s in the 1400S pre-Bronze Star since the mid-2000s. His first Bronze Star overall win, though, was on Nicky Grist just 2 years ago. 2022, Nigel and Kaz Jenkins have had their fair share of engine drama. It's been a year of engines, hasn't it? We'll talk about Matthew Hurst's dramas and his quite dramatic and decisive solution to them in a short while when the four-wheel drive field comes through, and we talk about that overall championship fight that we've got to look forward to with 2 rounds to go, 8 stages today to decide some very crucial points. But it has been a year of engines, and Nigel and Kaz Jenkins haven't got away with that themselves, having an engine failure, was it before Nicky Grist, wasn't it? And having to burn the midnight oil to get that engine back. Dylan Fowler Bishop then was flying past us, wasn't he? He jumps into the lead of the Bronze Star here, ahead of Joe Evans. Second in the gap as well. There's that yet. The pace then getting ever quicker. In the Bronze Star, Luke Watts dropping into 5th place, just 3 seconds back from Ashley Francis Adams, who in turn is 4 seconds back from a very close fight for 2nd. Joe Evett, Chris Bush setting an identical time of 7:47 through this first stage through Kerry. And there's a man who will be delighted and loving every last stage mile through here. Nick Dobson, Steve Pugh alongside. They come here 2nd in B11, 7th in the Silver Star, and another crew putting in an impressive showing this season in the Gold Star with the 15th leaderboard position at the moment. 2022 English champion, B11 class champion as well. Formidable competitors here in the Pro Tyre BTRDA, but the best story of that pair is that Steve first watched Kerry on the, sorry, it was 1978, not 73. I put 5 years on him earlier. Welsh international, stood here as a spectator, little cute Pewey, and then this weekend finally gets to compete on the stage for the first time. It's had a bit of bad luck with Nick not being able to do the rally last times that this rally and others have visited Kerry Forest, and I love seeing, you know from watching our coverage if you do regularly, that I love seeing rally drivers and co-drivers enjoying themselves out rallying, and Steve is just somebody who just beams from ear to ear when he's inside a rally car. You may remember when they rolled earlier in the year. And I do have that spoiler on it's on my garage wall, not my living room wall, I'm afraid. From when they rolled the car and got it back on its wheels again, and that clip went viral. Andrew Stokes, Johnny Tad Evans, a car which means an awful lot to us here. Always makes us think of David Stokes, doesn't it? When we see that car through, competing for British Historic Rally Championship points here. They were 1st in the C5, Category 5 cars, 10th in the British Historic leaderboard overall on last year's Woodpecker, so they know how to go well here. It was the Kielder Forest Rally when Nick and Steve rolled that car and managed to get it going again. A souvenir and a moment that I will cherish. There's Ben Jemison, Dean Kellett. Supremely impressive pair here in the Pro Tyre BTRDA Historic Cup this year. They come here in a podium position in 3rd place in the Historic Cup, 5th in the Silver Star. 1 point behind Will Graham in the Historic Cup, 23 off Steve Ward. It's not undoable with a maximum score of 30 and 2 rounds left, in 3 if you include this one, is it? 2023 D4 class champion in the British Historic, switching wholeheartedly to the BTRDA for 2024, and we're delighted to have them. And one of 4 different Silver Star overall winners this season, showing just how competitive and just how exciting the Silver Star category has become here of late. in the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Series. Mike Reed with the great John Millington alongside. Tell you what, Mike Reed rallied a Peugeot 205 GTI, a Mazda 323 and a Sierra and Escort Cosworth all in the 90s. I mean, he's good now, but boy, that must have been peak Mike Reed, huh? Especially as far as the rally car CV goes. And John Millington needs no introduction, does he? Former Works co-driver and a man who worked at M Sport for many years, was pretty much Malcolm's right-hand man and a real gentleman. The evening we had, the Rally Legends evening we had at the Motorist back in, was that really back in May? Where John was the star guest. His stories were just wonderful. And we're really looking forward to October the 12th when we're doing it all again. It's a motoring news themed event. Tony Saddington, Pete Smith, Jerry Matthew, Alan Hill, and co-hosted with me by Jonathan Pullen, who will be previewing his new book, which we'll talk about later. Get your ticket on the Motorist website. I have shared a link, but that is going to be one not to miss. Phil Squires, Mick Squires alongside. Their first event was exactly 40 years ago, and it used Kerry as the first stage, just like this weekend. That's a nice little stat, isn't it? Gareth Edwards, Dylan Andrew, who, depending on the times that they're putting in today, will surely hope or wish that they'd registered for Fuchs Lubricants Bronze Star points here in the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Series. They've done 9 rallies since 2017 and finished 4 of them. 2 of those finishes were on the Woodpecker, so it bodes well for them, doesn't it? They were 6th in the B11 class in 2019 in the BTRDA leaderboard, and that was their best to date. They did some road miles to test the car ahead of the rally because, in Gareth's words, he doesn't have the budget for a gravel test. A number of our crews going out and doing a gravel test, though, quite poetically, some at the Phil Price Rally School, the man whose name appears above the door here on the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Rally, a name and a man who means a lot to people around here and to people in rallying in general. Mark Higgins posting a tribute before the event to say over the last 20 years had spent a lot of time with Phil, and he found it quite fitting, like I do, that he should be at the Phil Price Rally School in the build-up to this rally doing a test in the David Appleby Engineering TR7 V8. Nice touches, Scandi into this for our R2 Rally Cup leader, Lewis Hooper. Rhys Edwards alongside, 2nd in the Silver Star, 7th in the Gold Star. A spanking performance from that pair today. I enjoyed saying the word spanking there, don't know why. It seemed to fit quite well. 12 points behind Steve Ward in the Silver Star. What a year for Lewis Hooper. 2021 Junior 1000 champion, 2022-23 Rally First champion and 2nd in the Bronze Star overall in a Rally First car, pre-Rally First cars having limited slip differentials. Actually no, last year, no, I'll correct myself, last year they did, didn't they? That was the first year that the rules changed and they could have a diff in a Rally First car. But Lewis, someone who, a bit like, who am I going to say? Joe Evett, I suppose, comes to mind first. The first person to really level the playing field between Rally First and the overall Bronze Star. Lewis, super impressive. There's Will Graham, Karen Graham alongside, fighting for 2nd place in the Historic Cup and 6th at the moment. They come here 6th in the Silver Star, 10th in the Gold Star. Another impressive 2-wheel drive showing so far from them this season. 2 points behind Ben Jemison in the Chevette, who we saw earlier, in the Jemison Engineering car in the Silver Star. Only 8 points off Andy Davison in the Silver Star. 14 off Michael Jenkins in 3rd, who will take a bit of beating, that is for sure. You get the picture that the championship and the competition they're in this season has been epic so far and is really hotting up as well. Nick Dobson, Steve Pugh posting the fastest time by 7 seconds through this first stage of the day in the Silver Star. A 7:49, 7 seconds ahead of Ben Cree, Bob Wiggins, Ben Jemison, Dean Kellett just dropping in behind them. 2 seconds back in third. It is very close. Rob Dennis, Andy Boswell, they've had a good season as well. Not enough rallies scored on so far to perhaps give a true reflection of that when you look at their championship position, but 10th in the Historic Cup, 18th in the Silver Star coming into this round means only one thing: they need some points. Only has one finish on this year's results scoreboard, a maximum score from the rally nuts, and thank goodness for Rob that it was a maximum, because that has saved them in terms of stringing together some kind of championship result this year. Only 5 points off Steve Chaplin in the Historic Cup as well, so it is all to play for today for Rob, and indeed for the final 2 rounds, the Trackrod Rally Yorkshire on the 28th of September at the end of this month, and then the Cambrian at the end of October, the traditional season finale. Will it be a finale? Will we see a final round showdown like we are doing in the Pro Tyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship? I do hope so. I do like my last round showdowns. It allows me to use lots of superlatives and lots of Paul Woodford bingo on the build-up. Again, Rob Dennis, one of 4 different Silver Star Rally winners this season so far here in the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Series. That really is the category to be winning in at the moment. At the moment, the Silver Star leaderboard looks like this: Nick Dobson, Steve Pugh, Ben Cree, Bob Wiggins, Ben Jemison, Dean Kellett, Alfie Hammond, Harry Warshaw, who put in the perfect line for his hairpin for the first And that wasn't half bad either, was it, from Gareth Bevan and Jordan Jones? Believe it or not, it's Gareth's first Woodpecker. He's done everything but. You'd have asked me without a notepad in front of me with all my notes written down, whether it's his first Woodpecker or whether he'd have done a Woodpecker before. I would have said that Gareth would definitely have done a Woodpecker. So first one, and he's picked a good one. The first year that we changed the format and the look of the Woodpecker. It's based in Mid Wales now, the service in Sweet Lamb. It's always been at the racecourse in Ludlow. So just looking down a little bit further to the Bronze Star leaderboard. No time yet from Nigel and Cuz Jenkins. Is that because of our connection and because it's not auto-refreshed? I hope so. Oh no, they have got a time, but they are in 5th place in the Bronze Star at this point. It didn't look slow past us. It's a 6.1 mile stage, so there's plenty of time for them to drop. Perhaps they're playing the championship sensible game, but I don't believe that for a minute. I think they've just had a bad stage through here. But take it away, Dylan Fowler-Bishop, Dan Evans, 14 points in the lead of the Bronze Star from Joe Everett, Richard White on their return. An impressive performance to be equal on time. Chris Bush, Ashley Pastel, then 9 Jenkins. The order in Bronze Star at this stage. There's Jonathan Brace, Paul Spooner. Jonathan fighting for Pro Tyre BTRDA points as well as his Welsh Championship points this weekend here in Wales. 4th in Historic Cup, 10th in the Silver Star. Good finishes on the Rally Nuts and the Nicky Chris, putting him into that Silver Star top 10. There's Baz Wheeler with Ian Jones alongside, running a fair bit out of road position. Was concerned that we'd lost them from the order actually, but there they are. Ian registered for BTRDA points, needs some points as well. 3rd in the Historic Cup, 8th in the Silver Star, fighting in a close battle in the co-driver standings for both. It's close behind him in the Silver Star. Phil Boyle only a point behind. The next 3 positions all within 5 points. Let that sink in. Similar in the Historic Cup as well, only 3 points off Paul Spooner in 2nd. And it's pretty close behind him as well. He'll have to keep his eye on his mirrors, metaphorically speaking, as well as on the pace notes. The 3 behind them on a distance of just 2 points. Ricky Crone's engine has gone pop early into this stage. Thank you to Craig Smith for that. Hello to Tom Hutchins watching at work today at Volkswagen in Hull. A man who I'm sure would quite like to be out in these forests competing today. There's Richard Goff and Les Forsbrook. That's not... That's Richard Goff, but he's in Rob's car, isn't he? That threw me. That's definitely Richard Goff, but he's in Robert's car. The spectators confused as I am. That was Robert's car, but Richard driving, I think. See? Maybe a new car, really? The last time when we did our feature with him, he said he was still using that Harry Vatanen Escort. I wasn't aware of the presence of a brand new car, so I was just assuming that would be the car that Rob Goff and Paul Morris last year used to good effect here in the BTRDA. That one will come out in the wash, won't it? Callum Griffiths, William Lewis. That's a great looking car, isn't it? That Fiesta ST Max, as they've called it on the entry. I'd like to know what's Max about it, because it looks like it's got wide arches. Well, it has, and it looks good. Under 25 and front wheel drive Welsh champion last year. They retired on the Woodpecker rally as well last year, but it didn't affect those two category titles. Interesting. I'm sure that was Richard. It was Richard Goff in that car, but I wasn't expecting that. Sometimes things just throw you a little bit. Right, Lewis Hooper has just squeezed himself into the lead of the Silver Star through this first stage. 1 second ahead of Nick Dobson and Steve Pugh with a 7:48. That's a strong time from Lewis. Comes here leading the Rally 2, the R2 Rally Cup, sorry. There's Ian Evans, Justin Brooks, another man for who an Avenger was the first rally car of choice. That was in 1985. Also has rallied a Nova, a Nissan Sunny, an Astra 106. But it's the, if you think of Ian Evans, and I'm going to put this to Wayne, what car do you think of when you think of Ian Evans? No. Yeah, I suppose you probably would think of the Nova from the asphalt as well, but no, I'm thinking of the Suzuki Ignis. They did the BTRDA in. That was a little screamer, wasn't it? I wonder where that's gone. Little 140 brake horsepower B9 screamer in the early to mid 2000s in that Suzuki Ignis. Do you remember that? That's the car that I think of more than the Nova, but you're right, the Nova is a car that springs to mind as well. I remember seeing the Nova on a trailer on the way to an event once. Which I suppose isn't that unusual. That BMW is Mike Brown Jr., Nicola Brown alongside. It's kind of like a BMW E36 has crashed into an R2 Rally, a Rally 2 Fiesta and stolen its arches in the aftermath. Only done one other event this season, which was the Nicky Grist first in B12. Hello to those of you joining us at home. I would join you on the coverage, but I am juggling an umbrella, believe it or not, because it's not raining heavily, but I still insist on paper notes, which makes Wayne smile, given everything else we do is based on screen. And aha! Paul Morris, I knew he'd have the answer, I just wasn't expecting it to come through so quickly on cue. Our championship coordinator, outgoing, in fact, in the Asphalt Championship. Richard Goss is a brand new Viking Motorsport built car. I'll tell you what, he kept that quiet when we saw him earlier in the year. There's Andy Davison, Tom Murphy alongside, leading the B12 class, coming to this, fourth in the Silver Star, and another crew who put in a remarkable showing on the Gold Star roster as well, coming into the final 3 rounds of the series. 6 points off Michael Jenkins in the Silver Star in 3rd place. He's got a watch behind though for Ben Jemison. 6 points the gap. Another man keeping his eye on his metaphorical wing mirror as well. They exist physically, but keeping your eye on them is a metaphorical thing, believe you and me. Especially with the hands device on. He's got a big lead in the B12 class though. I don't think he can sew that up here, but it will be very difficult for anybody if he does take a maximum in B12 this season. 3 maximum scores, a DNF and a DNS so far on Andy and Tom's tally for 2024. Bit of a mixed bag, but as you can see, as far as the standings are concerned, you'd take it every day of the week, wouldn't you? Start flicking back to the times a minute. Buzz Wheeler's on a charge as well. There's Tom Llewellyn, Sean Williams alongside the H3 Pro Tyre Asphalt Champion in 2022, first in class on the only other rally he's done this season, which was the Nicky Grist. Tom's dad, Di Llewellyn, joining us at the Historic Rally Festival along with Louise Aitken-Walker and Mike Broad actually, and another very exciting WRC guest who I can't announce, I'm not allowed, because it's not 100% confirmed, albeit it pretty much is. They're just trying to sort a car out for him, but there's a clue for you, it's him. But I know it wasn't a very good clue, but it's still a clue. Yeah, really looking forward to that. If you can, join us on the 5th and 6th of October in the Telford area. The ticket information, the spectator information is at the historicrallyfestival.com website. And if you look on their social media, you see some teasers as well for the stages, which just look out of this world. Along with a entry list of cars as well. Owen McMackin's Escort sounds awfully loud today as he knocked his exhaust off. Paul McCann alongside Owen, the 2021 BTRDA Silver Star champion, had a big year that year as well, didn't he? Won the Welsh wheel drive and the BTRDA B12 class as well. Paul, of course, if you've been following our coverage, how could you not? Fresh from his B12 class title that he took alongside Rory McCann in the Civic and the Rally Ceredigion in the Pro Tyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship last weekend. Was that really last weekend? It seems like an awful long time ago. Yeah, I feel like I should be moving in to this part of the world at the moment. Producer Wayne did just that a few years ago because realised he was spending all of his weekends here and most of his waking hours on the road, which seems to have been my life for the last few weeks. It's been a busy, busy season for us. These last few weeks particularly have been absolutely manic. We wouldn't have it any other way. Paul Thompson, Josh Davison realising at the last minute that they really do need to be hanging it into that hairpin left and not going straight on here at this downhill junction, which is quite deceptive, and it's steeper downhill than it looks as well, ever so slightly, possibly. They were 9th on the RAC. You may remember from our coverage in November 2023, another event that seems a lot longer than 9 or so months ago. Wow. Andy Davison then on fire here today. I've got to be careful. Last time I said that about somebody, it did actually happen, didn't it? But he is. We'll come to that in a moment because there, Stefan Stoof, 2010 Roger Rabbit Rally winner, Belgian. Di Roberts alongside, who is registered for BTRDA points and one of a number of co-drivers with one start and 1 point to their name in B14. Chris Lees, Mark McGee and Phil Kenny along with the others. And the third car that I'm now aware of in the last few weeks that has broken cover in the Bertie Fisher livery that we last saw come back out on Chris Meek's car in the RAC last year. It seems to have come into fashion, doesn't it? There's Rudy Lancaster, Guy Weaver. Solid season for that pair. Not registered for points here in the BTRDA, but in terms of the British Historic Rally Championship, consistent results since they retired on the season opener, the Riponian. In fact, they've had top 5s in the category every single time out. So, yeah, Andy Davison at the moment is absolutely flying. 18 seconds ahead in the silver start. And that is a fast time, given the crews around him. So I'm just faffing with the results leaderboard, because I think Baz Wheeler, Ian Jones, fastest of the crews so far through this first stage. 1 second though back to Owen McMacken, Paul McCann and Ian Evans, Justin Brooks on an identical time in third. This is the overall leaderboard, not just the BTRDA crews. Ewan Roberts Jr., Daniel Jones in the G3 Escort you saw through as well. They're in a fighty mood. 3 seconds off Callum Griffiths up ahead in the Fiesta ST. There's David Henderson, Christopher Lees alongside, one of again a number of co-drivers to be in that gaggle of co-drivers that need some points in the bottom of the B14 standings, alongside Di Roberts is Chris, and David will be hoping he's got the car to do the job for his co-driver as well. Harry Walshaw been doing some testing with David in that new car. He's switched from the Rally 2 car, which this is unusual. Seen some quite high-profile overall wins in, hasn't he? Not least the East Riding stages to name, but one of them quite a move into a historic car for David. I understand he wasn't quite having that much fun in the Rally 2 car. Just very unusual, that move, given how well he was doing when he was driving the Rally 2 car. Richard Hill, Patrick Cooper, of course, the economics perhaps come into the situation. Far be it from me to question anybody's decision. It's just unusual. Richard Hill has been quick on gravel, hasn't he, as well as asphalt this season. No wins, though. Last class win was on the 2021 Argyle Rally in the Evo 10. Remember that, in the Pro Tyre Championship? Does come here third overall in the historic standings, though. 3 points off Higgins in that thumping great TR7 V8. Not a bad position at all. There's Rob Goff then. Goffy, as Paul Morris likes to call him. Jez Rogers alongside. Big year in the BTRDA last season. Top 10s on the border counties, the Rally Nuts, the Rally North Wales, which admittedly wasn't a BTRDA round. But just doing, or seems to just be doing, one-off outings this season. Paul Morris, his regular co-driver last season, of course, concentrating on his duties as the boss of the UK's premier Asphalt Rally Championship, the Pro Tyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship, which sees a final round showdown next weekend on the Hills 4 stages in Malvern between Callum Black, Jack Morton, Neil Roskell and Di Roberts, who we understand will be back in with him after his experience here on gravel with Stefan Stoop this weekend. Both fighting for a title, albeit Jack Morton has already taken the co-driver's title. Paul and his team doing a cracking job at the championship the last couple of years. We'll be sad to see them go, but that position is vacant should you wish to throw your hat in the ring. Big shoes to fill. Ben Friend, Cliff Simmons, 2021 British Historic Rally Champions. Class wins on the Nicky Grist and on the Sweet Lamb time trial that most of our Welsh competitors seem to have done this season so far. I wonder if Ben's still carrying his lucky bolt, which I gave him at the RAC last year. I actually thought it maybe dropped off his car, so he thought he'd better carry it with him. And, you know, keeps it alongside him as a lucky bolt. So he tells me. I bet he doesn't. Just knows that he'll get a longer mention on the live coverage if he tells me he's kept his lucky bolt. Getting towards the sharp end of this two-wheel drive field, which we've had through in reverse seated order. If you're just tuning in, this is the first stage of round 6 of the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Championship. It is Kerry Forest, it is the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker stages. And that is Adrian Hetherington, Ronan O'Neill, the British Historic Rally Championship crews, mixing ranks with our Pro Tyre BTRDA and the Welsh Championship competitors here today. Adrian, another formidable British Historic challenger, top 10s on everything, but again, you know, a bit like a number of the front-running crews in the Historics. No wins just yet. They've just about eluded him. The variety and the soundtrack all take a little bit of a notch upwards now, as we expect to see a Porsche 911 RS, a TR7 V8 and a Fiat 131 Abarth in that order through the stage. And here is the first of those. Seb Perez, Gary McLady, bringing a nice bit of variety to the BHRC and to the stages in which we share the ranks with them as well, leading the British Historic Rally Championship standings as well, 30 points ahead of Mark Higgins in the David Appleby Engineering TR7 V8. Best wishes to David, who we understand, well, we know because he told us on the live coverage last time out that he's had an operation on his leg, I think it was, wasn't it, David? And if you're watching, and he's meant to be resting up and recovering, but you never keep a rally man down, especially one like David Appleby. And he was hands-on at the test that Mark and Carl did with the TR7 at the Phil Price Rally School on, I think it was on Wednesday this week, in the build-up to this rally. So exciting to see our TR7 V8 back on top, isn't it? And to see Mark Higgins, a legend in my lifetime in rallying, one of my favourite rally drivers of all time. It's a real pleasure. We just have to remember to make the most of these moments, because they don't last forever, and we'll soon be talking about them like they were in the distant memory. We make that mistake all too often. There he is, Mark Higgins. Carl Williamson is registered for BTRDA points, albeit it was in the B13 class that he scored those points. He won't be scoring many B13 points in that 3.5 litre V8 engined British muscle car, will he? Mark Higgins, second in the BHRC, 3-time British Rally champion. Carl, of course, ex-Works co-driver, sat in with some of the greats in British and in world rallying as well. Will be grateful of a few points in the BTRDA in that co-driver championship, I'm sure, albeit in the overall won't make a huge amount of difference at this moment. Just look at that. The Fiat 131 sideways, spraying gravel as it comes out of the mist, revs up, scandying it into the hairpin downhill here in Kerry. We could be in 1978, couldn't we? But we're not. We're in 2024, and that RSD Fiat 131, since it burst onto the scene, has caused quite a stir, and it took them some time to get it developed and make it competitive, but boy did they do that with the help of some big name drivers, Matt Edwards among them. But Nick Elliott is doing business in that car, isn't he? 2014 RAC Rally Champion. He won the Rally North Wales and the Raponi at the start of the year, and there's a man who is doing big things at the moment as well. Recently announced that the newly revised Motorsport UK class rules, which include a class specifically for Group A and Formula 2 cars, won't be adopted as a BHRC category directly, i.e. you won't, just as you can't now, be able to win the overall Historic Rally Championship in a four-wheel drive car, or indeed a 90s Group A car of any description next year at least. But there will be a home for Group A cars and Formula 2 cars not too far from here. Dare I say any more? I better not, because the boss will be listening. But there are some plans, so watch this space, because people like Baz Jordan, George Lepley, Kev Proctor, people bringing Group A cars out to play will soon have a playground all on their own, and we will be shining a massive spotlight on it as that class comes firmly into view as far as Motorsport UK is concerned, aligning us with Europe, celebrating cars from an era that certainly, given my age, coming up to 40, was the era of my childhood. Joe Price, Chris Brooks, we expect him to go well through here. Won the Historics on the Woodpecker last year, and never looks out of place, does he? So George Lepley-Dale Bowen coming through, and in that Group A Galant VR4. And as I say, I expect to see a lot more of that and cars like it next year due to the rule changes at Motorsport UK. Looking forward to that. We'll have a very short gap here. A chance for me to join some of you guys on the live coverage actually before we have the four-wheel drive field through and we start to see that championship battle go into the final 3 rounds of the series. Matthew Hurst, Declan Deer in a brand new car. Fortune normally favouring the brave, but not in this case. No luck, if not bad luck, this season. They've had the pace, but the reliability and the problems they've had with the engine in that Fiesta R5 have been just baffling. And they've finally given it up. And they bought a Skoda Fabia R5, which Matthew's done a couple of tests in and said is a very quick car. He's delighted to be in the Skoda. And if nothing else, it is a signal of intent, isn't it? Still in the Delta Salvage colour scheme. In fact, it looks even better than that it did on the Fiesta, that Delta Salvage colour scheme. So we'll see. Anyway, Matthew Hurst and Declan Deer through at car number 2 behind Elliot Payne and Patrick Walsh, the reigning champions and championship leaders. And see what they can do as well. Hello to Murph Carter, still fogged out, yes we are. Sam Toozle. Hiya Sam, what a performance from you last week on Rally Caradigan. I bet you're still not over that one, pal. Leading overnight on a Friday night, 3rd place. Some boy, and you've done it quickly, haven't you? Kevin Massey says that's how to do it. I presume we were talking about Joe Price there, were we? Or was it Alfie Hammond? He did well around here. Alan Pemberton enjoying the coverage, hoping the weather changes for the better. It's not too bad. It's that kind of misty rain that pretty much just the fog landing on us, isn't it? But you know, it does get a little bit foggy. Paul Sutton says spanking commentary. I think he's probably referring to me using the word spanking earlier on. I can't remember who I used that in relation to, but no doubt they will remind me when they watch back during the week. That normally happens. People send me a message with a lol because they hear what I said about them on the live coverage on the show at the weekend. Paul Sutton hopes the fog will lift. You know, it gives it a bit of atmosphere, doesn't it? It's actually coming in a little thicker. Shades of RAC here in Kerry this morning. Oh, and Pritchard, don't forget Ewan Roberts Jr. Yeah, I was flicking through the results when Ewan came through. But always good to see him in that G3 Escort. One of my favourite photos of us actually producing live rally TV is from the Nicky Grist last year with Ewan going past us sideways in the Escort. It's a great shot. You can see us behind the bail with our kit. Oh, quite a few people jumping in on the conversation about Richard Goff saying it is a brand new car. I see that. So they've both got matching brand new cars. That Viking Motorsport car will be some machine. I can't believe Wayne, he didn't mention that to us when we had our feature with him earlier this year.
Maybe we put him off using the Vatanen car.
Yeah, maybe we made such a big deal of the Vatanen car that he didn't dare use it again. That Vatanen car is the Rothmans car. It's not the car that they finished the championship in. That is at Pro Drive. It's the sister car. Mikola, Clark and a couple of others have used it as well. It's the most competitive, most successful X-Works car currently out competing, although I could have just curtailed my own line on that, because if it's not currently out competing, then it means nothing, does it? Scrapman Brown is shouting out to Grace Bell, sitting in car 301, the VW Polo. Damien Craig says, get your suit and helmet ready for Ceredigion next year. I was going to say, I'm not sure Paul Morris will let me, because he'll want me talking about the rally cars, not sitting inside the rally cars, but actually that's not the case at all, because he did try and get me out on Epping this year alongside Simon Hunter, but it was a no thank you from me. I'd much rather talk about rally cars at the moment than sit in there. But there we go. Andy Murphy says, hope you've got factor 50 on, Paul. Do you know what, this is warm for Wales, but I'm not going to need any kind of factors on today, Andy. And you know, you shouldn't throw stones, because really you should be out here, shouldn't you? Colin Steer can just about see the Pro Tyre sign now, but it's starting to go out of view again because the fog is coming in a lot thicker. Adam Meyer is watching at junction 3 here in Kerry. We're at junction 11, I think we are. It's a fast stage, this. It's 2 sections of asphalt as well earlier in the stage, probably about half a mile in total, which looked brilliant when we drove through the stage to get here. It's always a pleasure to drive through the stage early morning. We have to get in 2 hours before the first car starts, so we were out at just after 6 o'clock this morning. Michael Maguire is watching from the Philippines, enjoying the coverage here on Special Stage today. Yeah, do let us know where you're watching from. We haven't had Tim Rogers tell us what he's had for breakfast yet. That's usually the opening line, isn't it, on our coverage. But whatever you're doing today, if you're tuned in with us, you've got a treat in store, because not only are we live for both runs through Kerry here today on the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Rally, Phil Bramwell is also live for the Welsh Championship as well, and he'll be in Sweetland for you in 4 and 8. 8 stages today, 45 stage miles, and we've moved to a new Mid-Wales base for the Woodpecker Rally, a rally steeped in history and a rally that we've done many times over the years. Mark Taylor has joined me here, actually, joining in the spectator area from REIS, a name which many of our viewers will remember as being the first company to have supported us when we went live on these stages in the BTRDA 15 years ago. And you guys are back on the scene and making a lot of noise now. You're back in the office.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? But yeah, when I first joined REIS, as it was back in 2014, yeah, we were headline sponsors. Yeah. So we are back, Paul.
And still supporting, which is great.
Yeah, in a small way, doing what we can for the sport. It's so important to us, you know, to give something back. That's what we like to do.
Do you remember the first time we met? In fact, my friend Tom, over a beer the other night, reminded me of it, and he said, do you remember when we first met Mark Taylor at the end of the Jim Clark, and he told you off for calling the Asphalt Championship the British Championship?
Did I do that?
You did. You came over and told me off. First time we ever met, and I was very young and very new at doing all of this, and it was a wake-up call. It was don't stick your head too far above the parapet, Woodford. But you know what? I've done it ever since. Not that, but I've stuck my head up a few times. So you're enjoying your rallying at the moment. You're everywhere. You've been at Goodwood. You've been at the big shows. You've been abroad, haven't you, for a couple? Have I seen you on LinkedIn saying you've...
Yeah, I get about. Well, the great thing about, you know, being involved in motorsport insurance is not just rallying. So, yeah, it's been great to see other disciplines, not just racing, hill climbing, sprinting, and yeah, we get involved in all sorts of things. Our clients, you know, far-reaching across the whole industry.
You competed yourself back in the day, didn't you?
Oh, let's not go back there. Yeah, my first rally car was a Lada Riva, sorry. Yeah, back in that's about when we were going 88, 87, something like that.
Brilliant. Back in the Lada Challenge days.
Challenge, yeah, I was one of the Lada Challenge guys. I ran the Southern Lada Challenge for a year. Then I did the Micras. Came second the first year. Couldn't beat Jeff, he was far too quick. And then the second year, the Irish guys turned up and they were just far too quick. Stevie Whitford, people like that. Yeah, it's good. But there was great days, you know, one-make championships. It's a shame we don't have them anymore, because they're great fun, great way of getting into the sport.
They are, and I do at that juncture have to mention the Mini Rally Challenge, because that has, and it wouldn't surprise you with John Goff who's running that, but it's really brought that feel back to rallying in a sense for us. We've done a lot with the Mini Rally Challenge this year, and it gives people the chance to start in rallying, jump up from the juniors, and a chance in the higher class, the R53 class, to actually move on into a more advanced pace, and that's what a one-make championship's all about.
It is, absolutely. You know, trying to keep the cost down, keeping it the same for everybody. I remember back in the BRC days when we were going from four-wheel drive to two-wheel drive, you know, and in fact we've just seen Mark Higgins go through in the TR, and he said to me, and it's quite right, and you know, as a competitor you might understand, he said, Mark, it doesn't really matter what I drive, I'll drive a T-tray as long as it's competitive. And that is true, you know, as long as you think you can win, then it is good, and it really doesn't matter. So one-make series are, you know, where my heart is actually, and it's great that the Minis are doing that.
Great to hear the people behind the scenes as passionate about the sport as we are. It's Mark Taylor from REIS Motorsport Insurance, a company that, as I say, has supported us over the years here on Special Stage, and was the first company to really throw their weight behind and give us a springboard to get out onto these stages through their sponsorship of the BTRDA series. So we will be forever grateful to REIS for that, and great to see Mark joining us spectating here in this first stage of the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally. I know some of you will just be tuning in ahead of the four-wheel drive field coming through, so thank you if you are. We are in a great spot here on a downhill hairpin, junction 11, isn't it? you're looking at a map here in Kerry. There's a couple of asphalt sections just before this. It's nice and slippery. You can see it's very foggy, and it's been quite dramatic. The two-wheel drive field have been through here. A fairly small, comparatively, four-wheel drive field on this year's event, but no less entertaining. And we do have that championship battle to look forward to as the four-wheel drives head towards the stage. Now just a short gap, and then we'll have them into the stage. We figured we'd keep you here and have a bit of a chat. Scrapman, I asked you to tell us where you're watching from. Watching from the cafe in Home Bargains, Dragonfield. I tell you what, the cafes in Home Bargains are brilliant. When the kids were babies and I was on paternity leave, I don't know why, but I seemed to find myself in, I think we maybe just recently moved house or something. I found myself in the cafe in Home Bargains while my wife went shopping. I was entertaining the kids. But that's a tangent and a half, isn't it? Stephen Hughes is watching from Macclesfield, moving swiftly on. Loz Taylor watching from home. Sunny Sladeburn rather than in service this time. Sad face, because she'd rather be out. Normal service resumed at the Track Rod in a few weeks' time on the 28th of September. We'll be there live as well for the penultimate round of the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Series. Jonathan Mounsley is watching from Blue Sky, North Yorkshire. Ridiculous. Ridiculous how different it was. It was blue sky when I left East Yorkshire and headed up here yesterday, or across here, and got to Ludlow, and it was warm, really, really warm actually, but no blue skies to be had. Peter Lewis is watching whilst packing the cricket gear for the last home game of the season. Gutted to miss the rally this year. You might be missing the cricket if it's anything like this. You won't be able to see the ball. Paul Smiley Jones, it's sunny in Llandudno, the scene of what I hope will be a championship finale, a showdown for the title for the Cambrian. One of you would do this to us. It's 38 degrees and very humid down here on the Costa Blanca. Thank you, Craig. But even producer Wayne is shaking his head, and he's not really a holiday man, although he did go on a very nice holiday on the road, driving up through the Alps in the special stage studio van this summer. It turned into a holiday van for once. Peter Lewis says it's nice and clear outside Ludlow. Well, we're not far from Ludlow, to be fair, and it's not very nice and clear here. It is nice. It is warm. I've got to stop complaining about the weather when the weather's not actually that bad, because it could be a lot worse. DMB Graphics, good morning to you, watching on the YouTube section or on specialstage.tv. Martin Nightingale says he's amazed there's no dust. Well, no, exactly. No dust. In fact, Dave Bonning from DMB Graphics has got the Repsol Escort World Rally card that appeared in the reel that I put out to promote the Historic Rally Festival in a couple of weeks' time. What are you laughing at, Wayne? I see. I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing that Group A Escort World Rally car. Well, it's not Group A, is it? But you know what I mean. Mark Anderson says he thinks there's something wrong with his screen. Everything looks grey. Well, it won't look grey in a minute, because I can tell you that car 1 is into the stage. So there's going to be a flash of white, green and red from that Amigos Tequila Beer sponsored Fiesta Rally 2 in just a few minutes' time. 4 or 5 minutes. We'll have the first of our four-wheel drive cars through. It will be our reigning champion here in the BTRDA, the youngest driver ever to take the championship, the youngest driver to take 2 championships, racking up the records, and a man looking for 3 here this year, and on his way to doing that as well. But with 2 rounds to go and 2 very fast and hard challenging B13 cars behind him, and Matthew Hurst on a renewed charge in that Fabia R5 with the woes he's had with his Fiesta now behind him, well, nothing is guaranteed. It's equally damp in Dorset, apparently. Yeah, David Appleby says he'll hopefully see us later. I'm not sure our timings will allow us to get to service, unfortunately, David, so I'm not sure I will this time. But he's all good on the crutches, trying to do what the doctors told him. But when you've got a rally legend to run in a legendary British rally car like that Works spec TR7 V8 and Mark Higgins, Carl Williamson alongside, well, doctor's orders come second, don't they? Dan Elmore's watching along with us, the owner of Rallying His Life, our official merchandise partner this year, and the man who will be sending you a Rallying His Life money can't buy prize t-shirt if you've got involved on our coverage today. Jake Wilson's watching from the garage, prepping the Nova, ready for the track rod and enjoying the coverage. Good to have you with us. If you're just tuned in, we are focusing on this show in Kerry for stages 1 and stage 5. Then we're focusing on the Prototype BTRDA Rally Championship narrative. If you join Phil Bramall in Sweetlam for 4 and 8. My memory's getting better. I've got it written down in front of me. I don't have to use my memory. It just helps to give it a workout every now and again. He will be covering the Welsh Championship narrative today, but we, on all of our live shows today, will be bringing you all of the crews through, including the British Historics and the non-registered or local championship crews, because they're all equally as important. And our sponsors, Pro Tyre, quite like the fact that we bring you a full flavour of these events wherever we can. Last weekend, as an example, we weren't able to do quite that, but never mind. I had a long list of things that I couldn't say, and it was longer than the list of things that I could say, believe it or not. Very strange. A few questions about the interval. Normally there is a 5 or 10 minute interval in between. We used to start and stop the live show, and do you know what? We figured just keep it rolling. You guys can leave it on in the background, go and grab yourself a drink. If you're late up, you can be having your breakfast, but I can hear the bark of a Rally 2 Fiesta with a fairly fresh engine after it expired on the Jim Clark in June this year. And I can hear Elliot Payne with Patrick Walsh alongside into this first stage of the day. Nicely done around there for our reigning Gold Star champion, youngest ever Gold Star champion here in the BTRDA. Elliot and Patrick will be looking to win this one. It's on a very ever decreasing list of rallies that Elliot hasn't won, actually. The car looks a little second hand after the Nicky Grist, didn't it? Parked in Bullthwells at the finish, and it had more. I mean, they'd rebuilt the rear, let me get this right, the rear left-hand arch out of gaffer tape, and they'd done a good job because it looked decent, but very second hand, so they'll be trying to keep things neat and tidy this weekend, I think. Although it's not always possible. There it is then, told you. Delta Auto Salvage looks just as good. And if buying that Skoda Fabia R5 to finish off the season wasn't enough of a signal of intent, as to Matthew Hurst and Declan Deer's resolve, I think the line through this hairpin, and we'll see in a moment if the time through this stage is just as much a signal, because they are going to be on a charge. 6 seconds faster to this point. We've sort of got a bit of a Crocodile Dundee moment. I think somebody up in the hills, oh no, it's Will Atkins, who has conveniently and probably strategically placed himself like a blooming mountain goat halfway up the hillside, up the gorge, so we can't actually speak to him, because he knows what I'll ask him. The first question will be about when he overshot this hairpin last year on the Woodpecker, so that's why he's not joined us. But he is shouting down where the cars come through the times, a bit like in Crocodile Dundee. So that's not a knife, this is a knife. Producer Wayne's got a very big knife for getting us through the undergrowth here, but we won't go into that. Just awaiting the first time through at the end of the stage then. The 6.1 mile stage through Kerry opens us up here on the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker, the new location for this year for the rally, but a rally that is steeped in heritage and has been the place of a battle or two, hasn't it, over the years here in the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Championship. Another change of car. This time it's the Icelandic duo. Daniel Sigurðsson and Asta Sigurdardóttir haven't scored since 5th place on the Border Counties. The Polo, another signal of intent like that Skoda Fabia R5 we saw just before it, surely. And if I just refresh, btrdarallyresults.co.uk is where you need to be. He's made some time on Daniel and Asta. Max Freeman alongside. We've only seen Ollie twice in the UK so far this season. He was 10th overall on the Legend Fires Northwest, but it was a DNF on the Rally Nuts. He's been enjoying some success in the French Rally Cup actually recently in that Proton Iris R5. Just awaiting those final times to drop in. for the first few four-wheel drive competitors at the moment. George Lepley, the fastest of the crews, with a bang-on 7-minute time through the stage. Joe Price, Chris Brooks, just a second behind the Galant VR4, though, in this first stage through the... I say the two-wheel drive, but it does include that Galant VR4. But it was really raining. Just a little bit foggy. There's a man who will be looking for a big result here, Perry Gardner, in that new look livery, which does look good, doesn't it? Jack Bowen alongside him, enjoying his 100th rally start. Congratulations on that, Jack. That is almost a telephone number, isn't it? That's a big number of rallies. They come here 11th in the B14. Only joined us for the first couple of rounds. Didn't get scores on the board, though, so looking for some form and some reliability this weekend. Perry can help Jack this weekend get the under-25 co-driver crown, so he'll be focused on that, I'm sure. Don't forget, Sean Gardner, his dad, former BTRDA Gold Star champion himself, last person to do it in a Group N or a B13 car in that Evo 6. Won the Woodpecker in 2006, 2008. So there's some family heritage and family honour at stake here. I tell a lie, it is very lightly raining here. And as I do insist on being old-fashioned and using paper notes, I will put my umbrella back up. I know that's not very good radio, but there we go. Right, just waiting for those times to drop in. Nothing yet. Wait to see how the championship fight will unfold here at round 6. As you see, Liam Clark and Emily Easton-Page coming in hard to this downhill hairpin. They're 5th in the Gold Star at this stage, 104 points compared with Elliott's 143. Patrick Naylor is the man in 2nd in the Gold Star at the moment, 130 points, 13 off. It's 30 maximum point score for a win. So all still to play for, with 3 rounds to go, including this one. That pair have made, take nothing away from them, an impressive step up to the Rally 2 category from the R2 they were in last season. I remember saying to them at the awards do, Liam, that's a big jump. And he nodded and acknowledged that, but last time out they were last on the entry by the finish after a really tough day at the Nicky Gris stages. They call those days character building, but that does not paint a picture of their season so far at all. However, that, a load of scenery stuck on the front of the car, does tell the tale of Russ Thompson and Stephen Link's season. Fast, sideways, half in the scenery at every given opportunity, anti-lag, popping flames out of the exhaust, 11 points off Pat Naylor in the lead of B13, and taking a Christmas tree home as a souvenir from this first stage here in Kerry, to remind him of a big push, hopefully. He'll be hoping at least through this stage. 3rd place in the Gold Star, 115 points, 15 off Patrick Naylor. And was the overall winner this year at the Nicky Gris stages in the Welsh Championship. Still no times through. Have you got any times there, Producer Wayne, from this stage for the four-wheel drives? No times through just yet, but as soon as they drop through, we'll let you know. BTRDA rallyresults.co.uk if you want to sit there refreshing the feed like I am. Trevor Gamble, Phil Kenny, the co-driver, is registered for points, and he's 13th in the B14 co-drivers standings coming into this 6th round. One of a number of co-drivers I mentioned earlier with just 1 point to their name on the score sheets and needing a few points here at round 6. Di Roberts, Mark McGeehan, Chris Lees, the others making up that gaggle of registered co-drivers looking for their drivers to do a job for them here today. To remind you, we are going to be live all day here on Special Stage. Once the live show is finished here from the first stage of the day, Phil Bramwell will be getting ready to go live in Sweet Lamb for the 4th stage of the day. And then after a midday service, just as Phil finishes, we'll be live again with all crews through the 5th stage, the first of the loop in the afternoon, before Phil rounds things off for us to the final stage of the day. It's Sweet Lamb, just short of 2 miles flat. James Giddings, Aled Davies, a fast charging Welsh Championship crew, in fact, coming here with a 10-point lead in the top of the Welsh standings. And it will be interesting to see how they measure up to our crews here in the BTRDA and in the B13 stakes, and perhaps overall as well. At the moment, as far as the overall leaderboard is concerned, from the two-wheel drive, minus George Lepley, who is four-wheel drive in the historic field. Before these four-wheel drives came through, Lepley led the way by 1 second to Joe Price and Chris Brooks, Seb Perez, Gary McElhaney in third. Okay, so times are coming through, but we're not getting them on the results app. Hurst leads, it's a 6:28 from Mellors. Payne 3 seconds behind. Interesting leaderboard. Told you Matthew Hurst, Declan Deer would be on a big charge through here. But so will this man, Pat Naylor, Ian Lawrence, back in the BTRDA, having a little bit of time away as far as the championship campaign is concerned, locked in that B13 battle, which currently sees those two Evos on the final two steps of the championship podium. 2021 Production Cup champions. Wow, Gardner drops in a time of 6:32 behind Hurst, 7 ahead of Mellors, and 10 seconds ahead of Elliot Payne. Thank you to Paul Morris for keeping us up to date with that. I'm not sure why our leaderboard is not at the moment. Let's have a look. Paul Morris, where are you getting your leaderboard from? Because we're not getting it at btrdarallyresults.co.uk. Yes, I'm getting it on the category leaderboard actually. So this is the BTRDA. Bear in mind I will omit crews that are not BTRDA registered because it's all about championship for us at this point. It's all about getting a finish though for Steve Hollis and Tim Curry in that unique wide-bodied Golf R. VWs are supposed to be reliable, aren't they? But not that one. They've just got everything crossed for a finish. It'd be nice to get one of those on the board this year. Right, Matthew Hurst, Declan Deer, 2 seconds ahead of Perry Gardner. Elliot Payne then dropping into third. Ollie Mellors omitted because he's not a BTRDA registered crew, but he is in third place at the moment, splitting those two as far as the overall results are concerned. So it's Hurst, Gardner and Payne. Behind them, Russ Thompson, 17 seconds back from Elliot Payne, 29 off the lead. Liam Clark on a charge as well, 10 seconds back from Russ Thompson at this stage. But Matthew Hurst and Declan Deer have come out of the blocks fighting hard, haven't they? That brand new to them Skoda Fabia R5 that they picked up straight after the Nicky Grish stages. Such was their frustration and disappointment and not being able to get on top of the issues they've had with the engine in the R5. David Tomlin, Ian Beaumont only started their rallying in 2019 in the historic spec Mark II, switched to that R5 3 years ago in 2021. They're just keeping the escort for the Roger Albert Clark outings. Now, it's not a bad way of doing it if you can have a two-car garage like that, is it? Joined us in the BTRDA at the Cambrian last year with Keith Ashley and got third overall, which is their best results to date, not just in this championship either. Daniel Sigurdsson then dropping into 9th on the overall leaderboard at the moment. George Lepley's time, if you're wondering, his 7-minute time through this first stage actually puts him in 6th place overall. Puts him just 3 seconds behind Russ Thompson. Third place, in the Gold Star, and the second place B13 Challenger in that blue Evo with the Christmas tree now adorning the front of it after taking a big cut here through this first stage of the day. Very characteristic Russ Thompson moment, that. 20 seconds Lepley off the pace of Elliot Payne, who in turn is off the pace at the lead at the moment. Colin Griffiths, Mark Morgan there. That N9 was first campaigned by Neil Gatt here in the BTRDA and on other championship rounds in 2009. Remember him? A name from the past. That's someone we've seen out recently. So I'm just having a flick through the times as they're coming in here. It's quite intriguing. My mum's just sent me a message saying she can't believe how foggy it is where I am. That's a very mum thing to say, isn't it? In the middle of a live rally TV broadcast. Brilliant, mum. Daniel Moss, Hannah McGillan. Had a tough season so far in that Evo 10. An accident on the Malcolm Wilson rally. OTL at Rally Nuts. 10th B13 on the Nicky Grizz was perhaps a sign that they were getting things back on track there. And having a bit of a battle with the results service here actually. The sound of an ex-Yari Matti Latvala, now the boss of the Toyota GR World Rally Team, of course, Evo 6. Good start to the season for Simon, but things took a bit of a dive in terms of results and finishes, but good to see him back out in that yellow Evo 6 that he done so well in the World Championship. First times coming through now from Kumbiga, the second stage, before our crews head to seven-way Hafren stage, before then dropping into Sweetland for that just under 2-mile blast to end the loop stages. Peter Bayliss, Paul Godden. Third place in the B13. That will have cost them valuable time in such a close scrap, which we expect to see from the B13 boys and girls today. 19th on the Gold Star leaderboard as well for that pair. No chance of catching the lead two though. 48 points compared to 130 points at this stage with 2 rounds left to go. Some of the results tabs showing the four-wheel drive through, some not. So I'm just fighting with that a little bit. Woodpecker, Bob Stocko, a pair who know these stages well. It doesn't matter how foggy it is here, because I'll tell you what, Woog knows his way around here. He's done 14 Rally GBs. First one was in 1998. That was an Impreza as well, although a very different GCA style Impreza, of course, back then. He's also done Rally Finland twice. One of our best bearded exports, if I can say that. That will make Woog smile if he watches this back afterwards, which I'm sure he will. Nobody is touching Matthew Hurst, Declan Deer today so far. But Perry Gardner, Jack Bowen on a one-off outing. A pair that have shown us their class when they have been out are the closest to doing so. 2 seconds behind after this first 6.1 mile blast through Kerry. as far as the overall leaderboard is concerned, albeit not registered for BTRDA points, Ollie Mellors, Max Freeman in the Proton Iris are 7 seconds back. And Elliot Payne, Patrick Walsh, who did look a little bit raggedy through here, didn't they? They looked wild in this hairpin. Wild isn't always fast. It's not as fast as they'd like it to be. That is for sure 12 seconds off the pace after the first stage. Reigning champions and championship leaders. Second of the Tusculum Proper Cider sponsored cars. You saw the first one, Michael Jenkins, through earlier, looking for the B10 title today. There's Colin Minton, Adam Westerby alongside for this round. Equal 11th in the Gold Star standings, 4th in B14. It's an equal point rally with Daniel Sigurdsson as well, who until this round was in a Fiesta Rally 2 and is now switching to that VW Polo R5, and we'll be hoping that that is what his championship needs, of course. Viv Hamill not out this weekend, but as impressed when we have seen him. Only 2 points behind in V14 battle, so these will be really useful points. There's Ernie Graham, Robbie Kellard alongside. An exciting season for him. 7th in the B13 battle coming into this 6th round, but he's been rallying in Austria, Spain, Finland, Ireland, the Czech Republic. Might have missed a couple there. And he's doing that in a combination of an E30 BMW M3, a Mark 1 RS 1600, and that colourful Lancer Evo 10. We call that living the dream. Rallying really is life, isn't it? For Ernie. Ironically, he's retired on every single event so far in the UK, rallying at Border Counties and the Grampian as well, so we'll be looking for a bit of luck and to add at least one finish so far here this weekend. Liam Clark, Emily Easton Page, we saw them go well through here. Another pair that looked fairly wild though, weren't they? They drop into 8th place on the overall leaderboard at this stage, and we mentioned them already. Daniel Sigurdsson, Asta Sigurdottir now in that R5 Polo, a further 5 seconds back in 9th place. At the moment, it's the Welsh Championship pair of James Giddings, Aled Davies, who round out the top 10 overall. Seb Perez, Gary McElhaney, equal on times, a 7:14 through for the pair, and therefore just outside, or just clinging onto the top of the overall top 10 here at the Woodpecker Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally. This is this weekend. Back after their fire on the Rally Nut 7 Valley Rally. Good to see them back. Started in 2001 in an Escort RS 2000. 2 rallies later was in an Escort Cosworth. We call that ambition. And Adam Durstanilia just overcooking it and not quite catching it on the clutch. And he'll have been muttering a few words we can't mention in there to Chris Davies alongside him in that Evo 9 when he hasn't really had the chance, have we, to see how Adam measures up to our Pro Tyre BTRDA, but we have had a couple of chances. His season began with 2 retirements, Rally North Wales and the Kielder Forest Rally, bouncing back on the Nicky Grist with a 9th overall in B13. Not perhaps quite the reflection of what we can expect from him when he starts to string together some results in that car. So Matthew Hurst, Declan Deere lead the way in this first stage, 2 seconds ahead of Perry Gardner, Jack Bowen. A brilliant performance from them. They haven't had the seat time. The car's got a new livery. They've got a renewed fight about them this weekend. You could see it through this first stage, couldn't you? It was visibly fast. Ollie Mellors, Max Freeman splitting our championship crews. Non-registered Proton Iris R5 in 3rd place at the moment, 7 seconds back, 9 seconds from the lead. And it's Elliot Payne and Patrick Walsh heading out to the second stage with a 12-second deficit from that lead position. As far as the championship is concerned, that is not too decisive. So no dramas, slower than his characteristic start for the man whose father Charlie took the title here in the BTRDA in 2016. Rob Asler, Ashley Asler alongside. They're 6th in that B13 battle this year. So far as the championship leaderboard is concerned, they championship charge perhaps came a little too late when they joined us at the Nicky Grist. They did start the rally nuts, but didn't get very far. 1 point behind Gavin Spencer, though, in B13. So the points from this round, with Gavin not here, will be decisive, even if the result might not be, as far as the championship is concerned. Tell you what, George Lepley, Dale Bowen, I mean, they go quick, whatever they're in, don't they? You heard Mark Taylor say that Mark Higgins would drive a tea tray as long as it was competitive. Well, you get the impression that George Lepley is of the same ilk. 6th place in the Galant VR4 in the overall leaderboard, perhaps giving us a flavour of what we could expect if we open up and took advantage of that new class structure incoming from Motorsport UK, providing a Class 4 Group A Formula 2 car. Just imagine the sort of cars we might see. Dare to dream that we'd see some Formula 2 kit cars out in that class. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? We see a few already. Chris Butcher's got his Nissan Sunny, hasn't he? We know that Gwyndaff Evans has still got his F2 Ibiza. Whether we see him out in it or not is another matter altogether. Jeff Cottrell, Nathan Crew, the most experienced driver on the entry, surely. Began his rallying on the 1967 Gulf London Rally in a Mini Cooper S, and most notably, as far as anyone watching at home is concerned, you'll remember him doing 18 seasons in a Metro 6R4. That's remarkable, isn't it? Starting with the wide-in 1997. Switched that Lancer in 2016. There's Alan Jones, Geraint Mills. Another long rally career stretching back to 1992. I've done the Woodpecker once before, though. It was last year. And he retired with a broken diff. To set that record straight here on the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally this season. Michael Stanley, Izzy Holman due up next to round off our coverage from this first stage, but to remind you, Phil Bramwell is waiting, ready to go live with the second special stage team in the Sweet Lamb stage. Stage 4. 5 seasons of single venues and circuit rallying, and he did the Tour of Epping with Izzy earlier this year, took 8th in class. This is his first event on the gravel. Izzy only in her 2nd season of rallying, but her career doesn't read like that either. She's doing a bit of a busman's holiday these weekends, where she spends her days in the week at the Silverstone Rally School as the marketing manager, and then comes here at the weekend to shine a light on rallying, as she does on her social media if you follow her. But she was another of our crews who was on Rally Ceredigion at the weekend aboard that KP60 Starlet with Chris Richmond hand, and what a ride round that must have been over in West Wales. But here we are in Mid Wales for the Phil Price Memorial Woodpecker Stages Rally, and that is it for our first stage through. That's the first stage of round 6, the Pro Tyre BTRDA Rally Series. The fight is on. The championship title goes down into the final 2 rounds, but this one will be decisive, and we'll be back later for action from stage 5. We will see you then just after lunch. Phil Bramwell, meanwhile, will be live in just a few moments' time in Sweet Lamb. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.